Y'all thought the drama was over? Think again. Because the final tape just dropped, and it's worse than we ever imagined. Chrissy didn't just fake a pregnancy, she faked a legacy. And now that Camron's truth is out, she's not just exposed. She's exploding on camera like a bottle of champagne shaken by lies, betrayal, and one too many hotel receipts. We're talking deleted emails, buried texts, and a secret recording so wild, even VH1's legal team ran for cover. The footage? Straight out of a Lifetime movie. The fallout? Nuclear. Camron's voice is on tape spilling everything. The fake pregnancy scheme, the staged engagement, and yes, the network conspiracy that let it all happen. But here's the kicker. Chrissy heard the tape play in court, and what she did? Next had the whole courtroom gasping louder than Mama Jones at a cookout. So now we gotta ask, was Chrissy the victim of a toxic love story gone wrong? Or was she the mastermind behind the biggest reality scam of the decade? Grab your popcorn and your prenup, because baby, this ain't just tea. This is the whole kettle. On fire. Let's break it all down. Y'all thought the Chrissy drama was done? Oh no, baby. That was just intermission. Because the final tape just leaked. And it's not a rumor, not a tabloid headline. This one's court-certified chaos. A hidden recording dropped right in the middle of that courtroom. And guess who's talking? Camron. Crystal clear, uncensored, and laying out every dirty secret they tried to bury. Fake pregnancy? Planned. VH1 manipulation? Coordinated. Jim Jones. Played like a pawn in a bad soap opera. And when that tape played, Chrissy didn't cry, she didn't beg, she snapped. On record. In court. It all went down on a Monday morning. Courtroom packed, media outside, fans glued to live streams. Chrissy Lampkin sat there, face beat to perfection, outfit giving rich auntie meets legal thriller. But the vibe? Ice cold. Everyone thought this would be just another reality TV stunt. Dramatic, but meaningless. What they didn't expect was the evidence. The actual receipts. First came the hotel footage, which had already caused whispers weeks earlier. A shaky but very real clip of Chrissy entering a Hilton suite with none other than VH1 associate producer Morgan B. But what followed next wasn't just gossip, it was nuclear. The prosecution entered a secured drive from an encrypted VH1 archive server. Hidden within it, a folder marked Trigger Legacy Plans. Inside that, voice memos, texts, raw cut footage, and one file labeled simply, Cam confirm, now. Pause. If you know the history, you know this wasn't just any Cam. This was Dipset Camron, the man Jim once called a brother, the same man rumored to be at the center of Chrissy's alleged betrayal years ago. And here he was, on tape, bragging. Not whispering, not hesitating, bragging. She said if Jimmy really loved her, he'll fall for it, Cam said, laughing. Said all we gotta do is pretend like she's pregnant again. Boom! She get a ring, season pickup, maybe a book deal. I told her, yo, that's cold, but damn, that's genius. The room fell silent. Even the court reporter stopped typing. You could hear Chrissy's nails tapping the wood of the defense table. Tap, tap, tap. Like she was counting seconds until the roof collapsed, and collapse it did. Because right after that, the court admitted the email chain. Direct from VH1's internal communications. A series of back and forths between Chrissy, Morgan B., and two unnamed producers. In it, Chrissy writes, "Let's push the fertility storyline. I'll say I'm late. Jim'll panic. He always does. If we package it right, he'll go full Romeo." Again. One producer replied, "Just make sure it lands by episode 4. We'll adjust the arc in post." Adjust. The arc in post. This wasn't just a woman faking a pregnancy to trap a man. This was a network actively shaping a false narrative for views, and they weren't even being subtle about it. The judge stopped everything, looked Chrissy dead in the eye, and said, "Is any of this real?" Chrissy stayed silent, lips tight, lashes fluttering, but no tears. That's when Jim's attorney stood up and requested a recess, not for the defense, but for Jim himself, who, we learned, was watching remotely from Cape Town, South Africa. Yes, you heard that right. While Chrissy was getting exposed in New York, Jim was halfway across the globe, filming what insiders are now calling the most explosive docuseries in hip-hop reality history. Working title? The Engagement That Never Ended. But back to the courtroom, because the drama wasn't done. Not even close. Enter the publishing house. Remember when Chrissy teased a book deal last year? Well, turns out they'd already sent her a 6-figure advance for a memoir called Love Built This. According to their statement read in court, the book centered on resilience, motherhood, and surviving public betrayal. Yeah, except none of it was real. Not the baby, not the betrayal, not even the timeline. We do not support fraudulent narratives that harm public trust, the publisher wrote, yanking the contract and initiating a civil countersuit by noon. And just when you thought it couldn't get messier, came the final witness. Not Yandy, not Cam, not even Jim, but someone no one saw coming, a woman named Trina Bell. Now, if you're a real fan, you might remember her. She was background on Love and Hip Hop back in the early seasons. A stylist, a friend of Chrissy's, someone always in the room but never on the mic, until now. Because after subpoenaed emails were pulled from VH1's dusty old servers, Trina was called to testify. And baby, she did not hold back. According to Trina, Chrissy had been orchestrating this pregnancy lie long before the cameras even rolled. "Jimmy don't think right when he emotional," Chrissy wrote in one email to Trina. "If I hit him with the pregnancy plus that old Cam drama, he'll snap. He'll marry me out of guilt." Trina replied, "Even if it's fake?" And Chrissy answered, "By the time he finds out, I'll have my season, my ring, and my legacy." When those words were read aloud, the gallery gasped. One juror even looked visibly shaken. This wasn't a one-time lapse in judgment. This was a blueprint, a playbook. But the worst part? It worked. At least for a while. VH1 greenlit another season. Chrissy got the big confessional scene. And Jim? Well, Jim disappeared. Not just from Chrissy's life, but from the whole country. And now we know why. Because while Chrissy was building an empire on lies, Jim was quietly crafting his escape. Rumor has it he's been collaborating with 2 independent filmmakers in Cape Town, not just to tell his story, but to expose the entire industry. VH1, Dipset, Chrissy, all of it. Sources say the doc will include never-before-seen footage, including raw outtakes from Love and Hip Hop that the network never wanted the world to see. But back in court, the temperature kept rising. Because once Trina stepped down, the judge looked around at Chrissy, at the producers, at the legal teams, and slammed the gavel. "This court believes what we're seeing is not just personal deception, but systemic exploitation," he said. And just like that, a federal ethics probe into VH1's production unit was officially launched. Chaos. Absolute chaos. VH1 reps walked out. Morgan B. was arrested on the spot. Yep, the same associate producer from the hotel clip, charged with conspiracy to commit fraud and unlawful tampering with public narratives. Chrissy? She didn't flinch, didn't scream. She just sat. There. The weight of every camera, every lie, every brand deal, every fake DM crashing down around her. And then, boom! The judge delivered the preliminary ruling. Chrissy Lampkin would be remanded without bail pending felony charges. Intentional. Emotional fraud. Financial deception for commercial gain. Manipulation of broadcast content. Obstruction of contractual ethics. Her potential sentence? Up to 8 years in prison. And outside, on the courthouse steps, guess who showed up? Mama Jones, fur coat, sunglasses, lips pursed. She looked at the cameras and said what everyone was already thinking. "I tried to tell him. I tried to tell all y'all. She never loved Jim. She loved the lights." And while all of that was unraveling in New York, across the world, in South Africa, Jim was reportedly filming the final scene of his documentary, one that insiders claim will include a voiceover confessional telling the world how he survived, being engaged to a woman who sold her soul for screen time. But Jim ain't the only one reappearing in this story. Because back in the courtroom, another name popped up again. One we thought had been dealt with. Camron. Yeah, him. Because the moment Camron's name resurfaced in that courtroom, the temperature dropped like a cold front on a July day. Why? Because that same encrypted server that exposed Chrissy's hotel footage and the VH1 emails? Yeah, it had more. A lot more. Investigators found a subfolder, buried deep, marked only with the initials EM, and once they cracked it open, boom, screenshots, dozens. From Cam's old burner phone, direct messages, voice notes, even time-stamped screen recordings. All between Cam and a very familiar face, Erica Mena. That's right. The queen of reality chaos herself was somehow tangled in Chrissy's web of fake pregnancy lies. And what was Cam doing? Bragging. In one message, Cam typed, "Told her that fake baby shot always works. Mena, you know the game. Stir the pot. Cry a lil, get that screen time." Erica replied with a laughing emoji and this. "I did it before too, remember? Sin 8 reunion? Girl, please. That baby arc gets views." That's when everyone realized this wasn't just Chrissy. This was a whole ecosystem of manipulation, a reality TV mafia operating in plain sight, monetizing trauma like it's part of the script. And VH1, they didn't just allow it. They rolled the cameras and passed the checks. Back in court, Chrissy's lawyer tried to object, said the messages were taken out of context, but the judge wasn't having it. "These aren't isolated incidents," he snapped. "This is a coordinated effort to defraud not just a partner, but the public." And just like that, the court moved forward with adding racketeering to Chrissy's charges. Yes, you heard that right. Not just fraud, not just emotional deception, but full-on racketeering, like she was running a scam empire from her confessionals. Meanwhile, the media outside went nuclear. Every outlet from the Shade Room to the New York Times was camped out, hungry for every leak, every update. TMZ even ran a breaking headline, "Chrissy Lampkin, America's first reality TV RICO case?" And while the headlines were flying, VH1 stayed silent. No tweets, no posts, not even a vague, "We're monitoring the situation." You know why? Because they were lawyering up, fast. Insiders say internal panic hit the network like wildfire. Executives held emergency meetings. Old producers deleted social media. Staffers began quietly resigning. One assistant allegedly leaked an internal memo that read, "We are not covering season 13. All production paused indefinitely." But the damage was already done. Fans who once rooted for Chrissy were now turning on her. Twitter threads turned into think pieces. TikTokers reenacted her infamous "I held you down" speech with captions like, "Meanwhile, she was planning a scam in the green room." But let's be real. It wasn't just the lie. It was the scale of it. Chrissy turned a man's love, a public engagement, a potential child into a storyline. She scripted heartbreak and sold it as empowerment. And when the court played the final audio clip, everyone's jaw hit the floor. It was from a voice memo Chrissy had sent privately to Morgan B. "If this works," she said, "I'll be the woman who got the ring, the check, and the crown. Ain't nobody in reality TV ever pulled off what I'm about to do." She giggled. "Even if it's fake, it's still TV, baby." And yet through all this, Jim Jones still hadn't made a public statement. Not a single post. No live stream. No shade. Just complete eerie silence. But sources say he wasn't silent behind the scenes. In South Africa, the documentary crew working with him leaked a production note stating Jim had begun filming a final monologue scene, one where he would walk through every location that mattered in his love story with Chrissy, narrating what was real, what was fake, and how long he actually knew something was off. But Jim wasn't the only one prepping a final act. Because guess who popped up in the final 15 minutes of court? Yandy Smith. No one expected her, no one even knew she'd been subpoenaed. But there she was, in a black blazer, hair slicked, no makeup, no filter. Just a file folder in her hand and a look that said, "Let's finish this." She took the stand. The room went dead silent. "I'm not here to gloat," she started. "I'm here because the truth matters. It always has." What Yandy revealed wasn't new scandal. It was validation. She confirmed that years ago, producers had pitched her a storyline involving a Chrissy pregnancy scare, but she turned it down. "They said it tested well with audiences," Yandy said. "Said they could even get Cam to pretend to be the father for drama." The entire gallery gasped. That's when I realized it wasn't about us. It was about control. And Chrissy was the prototype. After her statement, the courtroom was adjourned, but not before the judge made one final announcement. a formal review into all past VH1 reality shows for potential fraudulent editing and manipulated narratives. You could hear the gasp echo down the hall. This wasn't just about Chrissy anymore. This was about every franchise, every scene, every reality moment you ever believed was authentic. As the media chased down quotes and photographers swarmed the courthouse, Chrissy was escorted out the back in cuffs, stone-faced, designer shoes clicking against the cold concrete like punctuation marks to her downfall. Her glam team was nowhere in sight. Her manager? Gone. Only one person followed her out, her publicist, who looked like she was writing her resignation letter in her head. And what about Cam? Word on the street is he's gone underground, laying low in Miami, deleting posts, and dodging. Reporters like he's starring in a reboot of To Catch a Scammer. But it might be too late. Because that Erica-Mina connection? It opened another door. A door no one was ready for. Turns out, VH1's encrypted server also contained untouched footage from a scrapped crossover episode that never aired. In it, Erica-Mina, Chrissy, and another yet-to-be-named cast member having a heated conversation about how to build a legacy through scandal. One of them literally says, "It don't matter if it's real. It matters if they believe it." And now whispers are growing louder. Whispers that this isn't just Chrissy's fall from grace. This is the unraveling of an entire empire. VH1 is facing multiple lawsuits. Brands are pulling out. And behind the scenes, another cast member, someone unexpected, is rumored to be preparing a tell-all of their own. One that involves blood, ties, and a betrayal deeper than anything Chrissy ever pulled. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's take this in for what it is. A woman who turned a lie into a career. Who built her brand on a fake baby, a false narrative, and a man's broken heart. Chrissy didn't just scam Jim, she scammed us all. And now, no glam team, no network, no storyline can rewrite what the world just saw in court. Because for the first time ever, reality TV stopped being scripted and started being real. Because now the fallout was no longer confined to Chrissy's court case. It was spreading like wildfire through the entire reality TV industry. VH1 executives were reportedly shredding documents, locking down access to production servers, and frantically hiring crisis PR teams. But it was already too late. The judge's federal ethics probe had triggered subpoenas across multiple franchises, including Love and Hip Hop, Atlanta, Hollywood, and even Black Ink Crew. The question wasn't whether Chrissy's scheme was an isolated incident. The question was how many others had done the same and gotten away with it. And the fans, they were livid. Social media became a war zone overnight. TikTok creators who once idolized Chrissy were now stitching old scenes, exposing every contradiction, every manipulative move she made over the years. One viral post showed side-by-side clips. Chrissy crying about her pregnancy on camera, then flashing a smirk the moment the cameras cut. The caption said it all. "We were rooting for you, and you were acting the whole time." As for Erica-Mina, she went full ghost mode, deactivated her Instagram, refused interviews, even canceled a scheduled podcast appearance. But insiders say the damage was done. Sponsors had pulled out, her management team dropped her, and several brands began scrubbing her image from their campaigns. Camron, meanwhile, resurfaced in a leaked audio snippet, one that confirmed everything. In it, he laughs while telling a friend, "Yo, Chrissy said the baby line was genius. I told her, that's TV gold. We gon' flip that into a whole season, watch." And that's when the real conversation began. Not just about Chrissy, but about how many people knew and stayed silent. Because silence, it was the real co-star in this mess. From producers to castmates, everyone saw something, heard something, suspected something. But no one said a word. Why? Because everyone was making money. The higher the drama, the higher the ratings, the bigger the checks. And Chrissy? She was the storm they all profited from, until she became the lightning bolt that burned the house down. The final blow came when a former VH1 editor stepped forward anonymously. He leaked a clip, raw footage, of Chrissy in a green room between takes. In it, she's laughing with Morgan B, sipping wine, saying, "Watch how I flip this scene. I'll cry, throw a fit, say I feel used, and that's Emmy-worthy." The clip ends with her winking at the camera and mouthing, "They'll eat it up." That footage aired on national news. It wasn't just receipts, it was a confession. And then came the sentence. Chrissy Lampkin stood before the judge, flanked by her legal team, surrounded by cameras, as the court read the charges: fraud, conspiracy, emotional abuse for commercial gain, manipulation of public trust, and the sentence, 8 years, no parole. The courtroom gasped. Chrissy didn't. She blinked once, then looked down. Like for the first time, she realized the cameras weren't props. They were evidence, and while Chrissy's world collapsed, another one was rising. Jim Jones's docuseries. Titled The Engagement That Never Ended, the first trailer dropped less than 24 hours after Chrissy's sentencing. In it, Jim walks through Harlem alone, voice steady, eyes broken. "They told me I was crazy for loving her," he says. "Turns out I was just the only one not in on the script." The trailer cuts to unseen footage, Chrissy and Cam arguing in a studio, VH1 producers whispering edits, and a chilling shot of Jim discovering the fake pregnancy report crumpled behind a bathroom mirror. But the docuseries didn't stop at heartbreak. It promised exposure. Episode titles included The Lie That Paid, Behind the Brand Deals, The Tampered Contracts, and the most talked about, Blood on the Script. Why? Because that's where the newest twist came in. A fresh witness, a family member, someone no one expected. Someone with a DNA match. See, the court may have focused on Chrissy's fake pregnancy, but the investigation didn't stop there. Because in that same encrypted VH1 server, investigators found a discarded storyline, a pitch for season 11, one where Chrissy would discover she had a long-lost sister, a woman allegedly played by an unknown aspiring actress, but the plot was cut. Why? Because during prep, real DNA tests came back, and what they revealed shook the legal team. Chrissy had a half-sibling in the industry, and they'd been working behind the scenes this entire time. Rumors are now swirling that this person is connected to not just Chrissy, but Morgan B., the arrested producer. Blood relatives. One pushing the drama from the front, one pulling the strings from the back. If confirmed, it would prove that the scheme wasn't just a solo scam. It was a family-run operation designed to extract fame, money, and legacy from one man's public love story, and now VH1's empire is crumbling. Lawsuits from former cast members are stacking up. Multiple showrunners are under federal review. And several brands, including cosmetics, apparel, and luxury car sponsors, have filed breach of trust claims, demanding millions in damages for being unwillingly complicit in televised fraud. As for Jim, he hasn't returned to the States. Last report said he was in Morocco, filming the final scene of his documentary on a rooftop at sunset, narrating a letter he wrote to himself. It ended like this. They say love is blind, but I think love just can't see through a camera lens. Not when it's pointed at a lie. And Chrissy? She's in holding. No visitors, no interviews, no statements, but someone leaked her prison intake form. Under next of kin, she didn't list Jim, she didn't list Cam, she listed no one. Just a blank line and a note that said, to be updated. So now the world watches. A woman who once owned every room she entered now sits in silence. And the question hangs heavy. Was she always like this? Or did the fame make her this way? Maybe the real tragedy isn't that she faked a pregnancy. Maybe it's that she faked a legacy, and we all bought it. Hook, line, and ring. And if you think this story ends here, think again. Because just hours after Chrissy was sentenced, a new leak hit the timeline. A voice memo from another cast member, talking about a staged accident, a scripted death scare, and a payout from production for trauma compensation. This time, the story isn't about babies or blood. It's about life and lies, and who gets paid to tell the biggest one. So what do you think? Was Chrissy a mastermind or just another pawn? Did VH1 knowingly sell us fiction as fact? And is Jim finally free? Or just starting another chapter in a different prison? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Smash that like button if you're still picking your jaw up off the floor. And subscribe, because this isn't over. Not even close. We're hearing that the next person to take the stand might just be Camron himself. And this time, he's naming names. Stay tuned. Because The truth, it always leaks. It always leaks. If you're still shocked, hit that like button right now. And don't just scroll past. Drop a comment below and tell us, was Chrissy a genius or just reckless? Did Jim ever stand a chance? And should VH1 be shut down for good? Subscribe if you want part 2 of this legal mess, because we're just getting started. More leaks, more court drama, and more names are about to be exposed. Trust me, the next reveal will change everything. Turn on notifications so you don't miss a single twist, because in this world, the truth doesn't come out quietly. It leaks. Loud. Stay tuned.